as we've mentioned quite a lot of time in the show, that you've been to these retreats, where you've had these meditation not for just a moment, just for a few minutes, but for hours on time and consecutively. How were you able to block those thoughts, like those 70,000 thoughts that you've had while just sitting in a particular position?
Yeah. So this is what a lot of people get wrong. And I'm just going to come to meditation now, because meditation is just the practice of that thing that I just mentioned, which is being in the present moment. You're focusing on your breath. You're just focusing on breathing in and breathing out.
Ah,
And that is how you start, right?
I
So that
see.
breathing in and breathing out part is the present moment, right? But it's inevitable that you will be taken over by certain thoughts. Like I mentioned in episode 1, the three core principles of the mind is there to keep you occupied and elevate your ego and sort of make you think in a way that helps it keep you occupied in different ways, right? So the practice of meditation is just that, being in the present moment. And then you'll have thoughts which will start building on. You'll get lost for 30 seconds, a minute. Then you realize, oh, so that chain of thoughts, that becomes your consciousness. You're not aware anymore until you come back, you reset, and then you do it again, and then you do it again. That's just the practice of making sure that you can be present, and it's the practice of keep coming back to the present moment, right? Now, a lot of people get this wrong, that you have to block your thoughts. You can't block your thoughts. It's impossible, right? You are with your mind 24/7. Blocking your thoughts is not a possibility, no matter how much you try. This is a misconception, actually. You cannot block your thought. What you have to do is be an observer and not get attached to the thoughts, right? So if you start becoming an observer while you're in that present moment as well, the thoughts come and they go, and they're just your car, or you're walking and those cars are just passing by until you reach a thought that you attach yourself to it and you get consumed by it, and that thought starts developing. When that thought starts developing, that becomes your consciousness. Your consciousness becomes that thought. You're not conscious anymore, right? That is what overthinking is, basically. Does it
Yes.
make sense? So that chain keeps going on, and it just comes down to the person. If it's obviously different for everyone, but you might take a minute to come back from it. You might take a day. You might take a week. For some people, it's all their life, right? They're living in
Oh,
a
yeah.
single thought, which is very extreme. But to give you an example, for example, some people who've had something bad happen to them and they want revenge. We've seen this in movies. That thought of taking a revenge becomes their consciousness. Now, because that is that, their thought starts expanding and develops on top of each other and finds ways as to how you can justify the origin of that thought, which was to take revenge. Right now, your mind will start developing on that and find different ways to justify that origin of the thought, right? Until you step out of it, right? Because people who, like, for example, this whoever this person is, XYZ, he or she wants to take revenge, that becomes their life. It started
True.
from a thought, but it becomes their life. Every action, every thought that comes after that is their
Is yeah,
consciousness.
is to achieve that objective. And
Yeah.
I just, this reminded me of something truly beautiful that Stoics always say, is that we suffer more in the future than the present. And this is what this relates to what you said about overthinking. We're going to think of things, we're going to think of situations and scenarios that might not really happen. And because of that, instead of, like you said, having a consciousness about the present, focusing on the power of now, if I may say, we just suffer in the future. That's it. And it's instead of suffering right now, instead of thinking about what we have in front of us right now. So I think this is truly beautiful, and I think that puts things into perspective for me as well.
Yeah. So there's, like, the saying goes, like, the thought of pain is more painful than the pain itself.
You
For
should.
example, let's be it skydiving, whatever that fear is for someone. For some people, skydiving is not a fear. For some people, it's water. For some people, it's heights. For some people, it's injections, whatever it may be, right? So, for that person, whatever that fear is, the thought of that fear or pain is more painful than the pain itself when it comes in the present
And it
moment.
might not be that painful. It might not be as
In actuality, it's not.
yeah, exactly, as I don't know, like as hurtful, negative, or as dreadful as they thought that it would be once they experience it, of course.
Yeah, and that's what I call the what if mind, right? So your mind is an expert at making those assumptions as to how a future will unfold or how certain things should have happened in the past. And it kind of possesses you in the present moment.